You want the truth.
You can't handle the truth.
Build it and they will come. This is a New Jack City, homie. Turn up your sound component wherever you are right now.
We jack up the volume, we'll be able to tell what you had for lunch.
The next hour is going to change everything you think you know about building your business, starting your business, and raising the money for your business.
Show me the money! Well, hello, everyone, and welcome to another Reg.A Money Show. This is Ron Costa in studios here in Las Vegas. We've got Miguel Dotris. Miguel, how's it going today?
It's going great. It's good to join you again here in the studios. Ron, the Reg.A Money Show is being brought to you today with a lot of information. We are on a great news cycle day today because we got a lot of stuff going on in the Reg.A industry. So phenomenal, and I'm glad that everybody's going to be joining in and listening to us today because, guys, we have such a cool show. You know, normally, as you guys have always been listening to us, you know that Ron and I here on the Reg.A Money Show, we bring in our guests normally on the second half of our show. And these are industry professionals that share their insights to Reg.A with you guys. For those who are seeking to do a Reg.A in their company or investors that are looking to get into Reg.A. So regardless of where you guys are standing on the fence or off the fence, today you're going to want to stay with us through the whole show because what we're going to do is we got a really great guest that's going to be joining us from CrowdfundX. Darren Marble is going to be joining us here in a few minutes. And then we're going to talk about some really important stuff that's happening today, Ron. So, you know, you want to let everybody know what's going on?
Yeah, no, it's so timely, too. I mean, there's Reg.A news left and right here. The Myomo group has made a great announcement today, and that's going to be kind of like the focus of the show, Miguel. We're going to talk about how they did it and how they really built their crowd. We've been talking about this for weeks now, how important it is to build a crowd in order for your Reg.A program to be successful. These guys did it. And, again, we're going to talk in detail about how exactly they did this, building the crowd and then going on a public exchange. It's amazing, and it proves that Reg.A works. And, I mean, I'm just so psyched that the timing is so perfect today.
Yeah, I'm really excited, too, and this is where this is a great time. And I think that joining us on the line from California here on the Reg.A Money Show is Darren Marble, who is the Chief Executive Officer of CrowdfundX. Now, CrowdfundX is a company that helps companies develop marketing, but he's going to tell us all about that, and I think we have Darren on the line, don't we, Ron?
I believe so. Darren, you there? Hey, Darren. Great. Thanks for taking time out of your schedule to be here this morning. We appreciate it.
Of course. The feeling is mutual.
Darren,
great.
Thanks for joining us here on the Reg.A Money Show where we discuss everything about the Reg.A industry and we're bringing information to those companies that are considering Reg.A and some of the investors are getting in. And I think that, you know, you guys if you could just give our listeners a little idea of what CrowdfundX does, if you could just give us, you know, we just met up with you in the elevator and you kind of give us the elevator pitch so that way we can get into the juicy details of what's going on today in the Reg.A industry.
You got it. So CrowdfundX is an artificial intelligence investor marketing firm, and we've evolved a lot, especially in the last 6 months. And so historically, when we got into the Reg.A Plus marketing arena, we operated more like a traditional agency. So we would assign an issuer an account manager, a social media marketing expert, a media buyer, video producer. And, you know, we were fairly good and skilled at being able to tell an issuer's story, design a story that would elicit an emotional response, produce that story with a high production value, and then effectively distribute that story to the issuer's customers, fans, or new constituents if they didn't have an audience. More recently, we've moved into the AI machine learning space, and that's partly how we were able to bring the Myomo Reg.A Plus IPO to the New York Stock Exchange this morning.
Yeah, impressive stuff. So you do everything from basically a blank sheet of paper forward, and is that what you do? You meet with the client, and then it goes on from there?
Absolutely. I mean, we get referred into clients at different junctures in their journey down this path. And, you know, what we've learned is that it's exceptionally challenging for an issuer like Myomo that does not have any semblance of a built-in affinity group nor customer base to go out and, you know, reach retail investors online. Myomo is really the inspiration for the AI technology that we've developed in the last 6 months. They don't have an email list. They didn't have much of a following on social media. They don't have consumer customers. And so we were really forced to innovate and design technology to help that type of company really, streamline and optimize the identification and acquisition of retail investors.
I'll tell you.
Let me cut in there for just a second, Ron. Let's give everybody a little bit of a background here, because you did mention that Myomo just was listed on the New York Stock Exchange. Now, guys, I want you guys to understand this. And I'd like to thank Darren for joining us here on the Reg.A Money Show today, because Myomo is a commercial stage medical robotics maker. Now, they produce a kind of arm and hand prosthetic that restores the function in paralyzed or weakened arms and hands. So basically what they do is they return a patient's ability to move their upper limbs. And what Darren was just saying is, like, guys, if you think about this, we talk about the crowd and who the crowd is. So essentially they've had, 20, 50 of these robotic arms made and fitted as a prosthesis for these people to be able to regain the strength of their arms and their limbs. So they had no group. I mean, they had 50 people that they've probably changed their lives for, right? And their work was renowned inside of their industry. But outside of that, they had nobody. They had nobody who really knew their story. And that's where we have always talked about here on the Reg.A Money Show, where you kind of have to build this group. If you don't have the following, the affinity group that follows you, this is why groups like CrowdfundX come in and are able to help you organically kind of build this footprint of yours and expand your ecosystem so you can kind of reach out to these investors that are looking for these types of, because Darren, man, this falls under, I would think, a technology company. I think that it falls under a hardware company. I mean, there's a lot of different, wheelhouses that this kind of Myomo fits into, right? So how did you guys do, or how did the artificial intelligence, the IE, work in kind of defining, who would be interested in this type of investment?
That's a great question. And look, the reality is that prior to us developing this technology and moving into AI, there was a lot of educated guesswork happening. So we would guess, for instance, previous to having this technology, that Myomo might appeal to a veteran community, might appeal to an engineering community, and yet those are really educated guesses at best. And there's some intuitive ideas that you may have, and you can test these hypotheses to a degree, but ultimately it's human decision-making. Our vision is to eliminate the human decision-making, to take the guesswork out of identifying and acquiring retail investors. So we're big proponents of Reg.A issuers applying a paid media budget to their campaign. And that goes for any issuer. I don't care if it's Elio Motors or some company that has 100,000 paying customers, or Myomo that has no social footprint, no email list. Every Reg.A issuer has the benefit of general solicitation. And to take advantage of that new opportunity, they need to dedicate some dollars to paid media marketing. This might include Facebook ads against the lookalike audience, sponsored stories on Yahoo, paid influencer campaigns, etc. There's a lot of ways to spend that money. The media channels are infinite, but the media budget is not. So what we've developed is an engine that aggregates data on retail investors as they come in the funnel. And we're pairing this incoming campaign data against an issuer's customer, financial, marketing data. And then we're also purchasing third-party data. So we're trying to create a true 360-degree view of the ideal investor. And as we bring investors into the funnel, and as people start investing in the campaign, someone invests $2,000, someone invests $5,000, $20,000, we are tracking not only their behavioral data on the site, but also their demographic data, which is more basic, and that you can do quite easily through Facebook. And so the idea is that we're aggregating, in some cases, hundreds of data points on every retail investor that comes in the funnel, and then we're able to use that information to reverse engineer an audience of other likely investors. And then we apply a paid media against that budget, against that new audience. So the AI informs or directs the use of paid media dollars to bring in likely investors into the deal. That's kind of a very high level.
But we like high level. We like those high level explanations because it's core. What we want to do is we want to provide this information from our listeners for the Reg.A Money Show, Darren. And then what we want them to do is we want them to go out and reach out to the professionals. We want them to do their research. We want to be able for them to engage and get some of the answers that they're looking for too. So we don't want to go into all the tiny details because we don't have enough time. Talking about time, I think, Ron, this is a good segment. I want you guys to listen. You're listening to the Reg.A Money Show. We're going to cut away for a little bit of a break. When we come back, we're going to continue this conversation with Darren from CrowdfundX, and we're going to stay here with the Reg.A Money Show. So I want you guys to stay tuned for just another segment of ours, and we're going to talk a little bit about continue our talks on Myomo, but we're also going to get into what Darren is talking about with this creation of this crowd and how to spend those dollars and what you're looking for in a budget. So we got lots of information for you. So I'm going to suggest that if you're considering the Reg.A or you're looking into Reg.A, you keep your ears tuned because we're coming right back to you in just a few minutes.
Sounds good, Miguel. We'll be right back.